Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell today weighing in for the first time on Donald Trump's call for the, quote, termination of the United States Constitution.
Anyone seeking the presidency who thinks that the Constitution could somehow be suspended or not followed, it seems to me would have a very hard time being sworn in as President of the United States.
CNN's chief congressional correspondent Manu Raju is joining us now from Capitol Hill. Manu, McConnell used similar language when he criticized Trump for a meeting with a white nationalist at Mar-a-Lago not that long ago, but he's yet to say Trump should actually be disqualified as serving as president again.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, just last week, Mitch McConnell did the same thing. He began his weekly press conference criticizing Donald Trump, saying in the aftermath of that last meeting that Donald Trump had at Mar-a-Lago with white supremacists and anti-Semites that, quote, he's highly unlikely to ever be elected president of the United States. Last week, I asked him whether or not he could still support Donald Trump if Trump became the Republican nominee in 2024. This week, I asked him again in the aftermath of his criticism of Donald Trump's post that the Constitution should be terminated, whether he would still support Donald Trump if Trump were the nominee, and McConnell again sidestepped. This is the second straight week you've come out to begin your press conference criticizing Donald Trump. Can you say categorically that you would not support him if you were the Republican nominee?
What I'm saying is it would be pretty hard to be sworn in to the presidency if you're not willing to uphold the Constitution. That's what I said, and I just said it again.
But Mitch McConnell is very deliberate about the words he chooses. In fact, he rarely mentions Donald Trump. In fact, rarely addresses any number of Trump controversies. He's been done with the relationship with the former president in the aftermath of January 6th. Even though he voted to acquit Donald Trump in his impeachment trial, he accused Trump of being responsible, morally and practically responsible for the events of January 6th. And Trump, of course, has called for McConnell's ouster time and again. But Wolf, this, taken with his anti-Semitic dinner and as well as Donald Trump pushing Senate candidates who have faltered, have led to a serious break with Republicans on Capitol Hill. And if Herschel Walker loses tonight in Georgia, undoubtedly you'll hear more criticism from Capitol Hill directed towards the former president if that were to come to pass. Both.
All right, Manu, thank you. And joining me now, Bakari Sellers, former Democratic member of the South Carolina House of Representatives, along with David Urban, longtime Republican strategist and former senior advisor to the Trump campaign. Karen Finney also here, former senior spokesperson for Hillary for America, also part of the 2021 special election polling team for Raphael Warnock, and Jonah Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Dispatch. So, Jonah, you hear Senator McConnell. Anyone seeking the presidency who thinks the Constitution can somehow be suspended or not followed, it seems to me, would have a very hard time being sworn in as president of the United States. And then when asked, does that mean you don't support Trump, repeats it, basically. Okay, well, so how do you square that circle? Why is this so hard?
So look, I have a great deal of sympathy for Mitch McConnell, maybe not for the Republican Party in general, but this is the problem that you get when you have when you're trying to extricate yourself from Donald Trump. Mitch McConnell cannot say he would not support him, because politically that would make the issue a big fight between Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. And his whole strategy, much like Ron DeSantis' strategy and Glenn Youngkin's strategy, is to not give the big baby the bottle, not create a narrative of this big feud, but instead try to make it seem like he's old news and move on. It is not a profile in courage, but it may be the smartest politics.
All right, now, Bakari, it's interesting because you just mentioned Glenn Youngkin. Glenn Youngkin did come out, governor of Virginia, and say, I completely disagree with his comments. So at least he made it personal to both himself and to Trump.
Where is the bar? In hell? I mean, the bar is the lowest bar ever. I mean, the fact is this. Republicans, for a very long period of time, created this monster because they were afraid to take him on full frontally. All of this, and I get the politics of the Capitol, and I think that Mitch McConnell's politics of trying to manage a caucus is probably different from those individuals who may be trying to protect democracy or be president of the United States. You have to have some courage and some fortitude. That's what the American people are looking for. They're looking for somebody who's going to stand up. If you won't stand up to Donald Trump, how will you stand up to the president of China? How will you stand up to any of our foes around the world? And I guess, for those watching, I think the thing that I can say that is disenchanting the most about these Republicans is when you have someone like Donald Trump talk about Mitch McConnell's wife or Ted Cruz's wife. and they won't even fight back, then you know that those individuals are either beaten by Trump or don't have the fortitude or courage to be a leader, because if that was me, it'd be some furniture moving.
So David, okay, but what's interesting is what McConnell did, right, was try to say, I'm for the Constitution, okay, which is this line that everyone's trying to walk.
It's technically impossible for Trump to be sworn in on a document he refuses to defend.
That he's terminated, okay, so I get it. You know, there's a technicality here. Okay, but he's not alone on that. Okay, here's just a few more examples.
Obviously, I'm a strong supporter of the Constitution.
I think everyone that serves in public office, everyone that aspires to serve or to serve again, should make it clear that we will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Okay,
So listen, let's make it clear.
Hold on. Let's
make it clear. I was going to say, let's make it clear. I support the Constitution. There's no daylight between me and the Constitution. Look, Jonah has it correct, right? It may not be a profile of courage, but you don't necessarily want to fight with Donald Trump on every tweet. Are we back to that again? I think Republicans want to try to put some space between the former president and themselves, and every tweet, every dinner, every meal, every snack, every thought that he has. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck in this downward spiral to 24, and independent voters are going to say, hey, guess what? We were right in the midterms. We are trying to separate ourselves from the Republican Party. They're going to run even further away from the Republican Party. So while it may not be, again, as Jonah characterized, a profile of courage, it may be the best strategy for Republicans at this
Karen,
point.
those are the top two Republicans in the House, though. I mean, do you buy? I mean, you may agree with them that this is the strategy. Is it the right one?
It is for them now. I mean, now that the American people have actually shown backbone, I mean, they've had more backbone than the Republican leadership, because they're the ones who went out and voted and said, we're done with this. We don't want this. So in terms of profiles and courage, it's not a lot of courage to come out and now it's cool and hip to criticize, Donald Trump, when the American people have already made it okay for you to do that. Because let's remember, in terms of the politics, there is also 1/3 of the Republican Party that believes Donald Trump pretty much no matter what he says. And for the last 4 years, many of the Republicans are also afraid of those voters because they need those voters. That's part of the reason they don't want to get into a back and forth publicly